Hey everybody, welcome back. Kazuya Mishima wins. Look at him. Oh, it's so cool. Let's take a better look here. Yeah, man. That's awesome. It's awesome. Kazuya Mishima was a protagonist basically of the entire Tekken franchise. He was a playable character in, I think, all of them, and we're up to 8 now. Just iconic look, right? It is just a gear for Rey Mysterio West Coast Pop, but it's a huge one. Green gems do 2,080 more damage. That's insane. This is an insane amount of boost for the primary gem color, okay? So let's bring this up real quick. I'm going to cover up part of the game board. 68058 multiplied by, what is it? 21.8? Yeah. Yeah. Each green gem is going to be minimum 1.48 million damage. And that's really the key here. A lot of this video is going to be referential to the preview video I did for Rey Mysterio. I'm going to go over 2 movesets here real quick. I'm going to start with the one that has the higher ceiling and the lower floor, meaning it could hit either really hard or not very hard at all, depending on how the traps break. And that's going to be the Bronco Buster. Throw out a bunch of traps. If broken by you, make 2 immobile gems. If broken by the opponent, make 4 immobile gems. That's the real big part there. The Chimera Lock. Choose 10 to make into blue submission gems. That's how you load the West Coast Pop. And then 1 million per tick, and then remaining subs turn into their own immobile gems. And then the West Coast Pop, deal 1 million damage, plus 275,000 bonus damage for every immobile gem. Then Finisher, deal 1 million damage, make 49 immobile gems into green, and pin the opponent. I didn't change the entourage at all, so it is going to be Animal for 4 green MP. It's going to be Sammy for 2 green MP, and immobile gems do 50% more damage. Now we're loaded in green. Green gems do 40% more damage, and immobile gems do 60% more damage. And then Powerhouse Hogan, immobiles will do 100% more damage. Important to remember, I do have on this account Dominic Mysterio custody match. So gems do 50% more damage. Green gems do 50% more damage, and subs do 200% more damage. Okay, so if you don't have that, then your damage will be a little on the lower end. This is my least favorite moveset, so I'm just going to kind of run through this one pretty quick. I'm not going to spend any significant amount of time on it. We're going to throw out our trap gems. I just realized the Bronco Buster animation is still X-Pac from way back in the day. And then we're going to use the sub here to make 8 blue gems. And this should work. And then the remainder of the gems go in a place where they are unlikely to be broken, because you do want the opponent to swipe as much as possible trying to break trap gems. Every time the opponent breaks a trap gem, they're also hurting themselves, which is kind of nice. But it's a negligible amount of damage. It's 250k per. So we've got a pretty decent amount of immobiles on the board. So our finisher is going to go huge with the unblockable section, and then we're going to turn everything into green. He is at 54 million damage, or 54 million health, sorry. He lost 30 of it off the rip from immobile, and then the rest of it was gem damage. That was a 58 million pin. Pretty decent. We're starting to get into very usable territory now with this Rey Mysterio or Kazuya. And the gear, like 2,080% boost is kind of enough to do the trick of making you think that you're using a different card. I did a lot of my research on this Ray yesterday, and it was really kind of unfun with how meh he was. And now we're talking about some serious oomph. Wheelbarrow Bulldog is a new move that we're adding in here. Gain 10 blue MP. So we're just using this to load the 2 blue moves. Springboard Moonsault. Choose about 5x5 area to make into a mobile gems. And then the West Coast Pop. This is a consistent move set. It's not going to have as drastically as big of swings as the previous moveset did. Sometimes you don't have a lot of immobile gems on the board. Sometimes you have a ton. But inconsistency is really bad for like showdown and feuds. For tours, it's fine. And for one-off events, it's fine. But you're not going to want to feud with something that's inconsistent. This is consistent. Click the button here to get everything loaded. Now that we're loaded, I'm going to put the 25 immobiles in the center, trying to catch as many strays on the outside as possible. Then we're going to do a pretty decent amount of damage. I think it's 23 million unblockable, 852500 multiplied by 25. Sorry, 21.3 million in unblockable. So this will drop to 44.3, and then we're going to make a nice square of green gems in the middle. That is a 48 million pin. You can see with the unblockable, it wiped out all of the health. That was 60 some odd million turn 1. Pretty decent. Now, this Gen needs gear, or not Gen, sorry, Kazuya needs gear, and I do have the moment. The entourage is pretty obtainable, kind of. If you don't have Powerhouse Hogan or don't have Showboat Dom, just throw in any immobile gems that you've got. But yeah, Kazuya gear makes Ray very usable. I feel like I'm forgetting something though. That was 50, 60 million damage, maybe not enough to really do the trick. Let's see. We talked about the moment. We talked about the gear. We talked about the entourage. We talked about the moves. Oh, yeah. I didn't have a strap equipped. Yeah. No strap, 60 million damage. Let's look and see what we can do now. So let's throw the nearing end plate on him. Oh, I'm going to need to do this first. Hold on. Hold up. Maybe. Yeah. 60 million damage, no strap. So once we get a strap equipped and we get all of the plates on it, I'm expecting a pretty significant increase in damage. Like a significant increase in damage. That's going to be nice. I need one of these. Open, please. There we go. All right. Let's get back into the ring here. For this moveset, you can... I'm going to run with the Chaos Fighting Spirit and the Nearing End plate, like we did in the Ray video. So near, we'll get that equipped. And then for the other one, we'll do the Spirit plate. Just the fact that we're adding 180 from here and then 35 from here, so another 200%. And then the plates should make a huge difference. We should be getting into the 80 million range or so, if I had to guess. Remember, green is Kazuya's primary color. So those are the biggest gems that he's got. Now we're loaded. Now we'll put the immobile gems on. Then we'll hit the finish. Let's see how much damage this does. A whole bunch. There was 71 million. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. That's a pretty decent gear. In fact, the gear, I haven't tested this yet, but the gear is so strong that I think you can just throw a green rumble on Kazuya and run triple yellow and be just fine. Probably hit for a huge amount. Let's test it. Let's do this against not a powerhouse, because the triple yellow setup has a hardcore move against powerhouses. So let's adjust here. We're going to go with a tilt-a-whirl head scissors, diving hurricane rana, and then the 619. This is really easy. This loads yellow MP. This makes a bunch of countdown gems. When they pop, we'll make more yellow gems. And then the finisher, decrease your yellow countdown. You can see here the hardcore move, if the opponent's class is powerhouse, increase your yellow gem damage by 100%. I just want to see what a normal one's going to look like. So we're going to go back to the hard times. We'll toss that plate on there. And then we will place, actually we're going to do it, I forgot about a plate. We're going to do the green rumble here. Here's a sneak shot of the Electric Winged God Fist. This is one of the most iconic Tekken moves. Whenever you break 20 or more immobile gems, generate 49 random green gems at the end of your turn. It's a rumble specifically for Kazuya. I should check that out. We will check that out here in a second. And for this loadout, we'll go to the yellow one that is nothing but yellow gem damage. And we'll give it a swing. I'm not even going to bother hitting that move. So here's the countdowns. And we're going to turn the board yellow, and then we're going to turn the board green. Monster. It's 106 million pin. Yeehaw. The hardcore move would make this, almost doubly as brutal. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeehaw indeed. 106 million just by adding a green rumble. And let's go back and look. I forgot about the Kazuya plate. Let's take a look at the Kazuya plate real quick. We'll shift our entourage back to the immobile setup. Shift the moves back to the immobile setup. And we'll shift the plates back. So I'm going to stick with the nearing end. And then from here, the nice part about this one over the rumble plate is if you're going to try to use a rumble plate with this moveset, you would have to get really lucky with cascades. Not really lucky. I feel like it would happen more often than not, where you break the 25 and you trigger a rumble. Trick Live is kind of the same way with the 25 color turn gems triggering a red Royal Rumble. All right, so blue moves loaded. Immobile gems in the middle. And then the West Coast pop. Yeah, that's a good one. Woo! Woo! That's a cool and easy 152 million damage. 3 clicks, you barely touch the board. Yeah, that's the way to go. Kazuya, a monster. Anyway, here's Kazuya. I hope you've learned something today. I hope you've been entertained by something today. Or I hope you like the sound of my voice. If any of those things are true, do me a favor, click like, click subscribe, share to your faction mates, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.